Guys, thanks so much for joining. Greg here. We're going to kick off a level 300 ToA raid in just a minute. So what I'll do up front here is flash my gear setup for you. I think it's pretty much a basic setup here where we've got some Bandos armor, we've got our fire cape, we've got a fang for our attack weapon. And then also you'll see in my inventory I brought some mage switches as well as some range gear switches. There's 5 different bosses we're going to fight along the way here, in addition to some mini games. So depending on which boss we're fighting, we're going to have to switch up our attack style, our defense, and all that good stuff to try to be as successful as possible. You'll also see in my inventory, we've got some yellow potions here, which is what I'm going to use to heal myself whenever I take damage. They're called Saradomin Brews. So normally you want to take a couple sips of those to beef up your stats. And then I'm also going to take a sip of the pink potion, which is some super restore, in order to restore my stats, because you will take a little bit of a hit there when you drink the Saras. For anyone who hasn't played, I know it's a little bit confusing up front, but hopefully we'll be able to learn a little bit together as we go here. Now, for anyone who's seen a ToA raid before, you probably know that you're able to adjust the difficulty setting of the raid based on the invocation options that are here at the load-in screen. So you can see I've activated certain options in yellow, which are going to make the raid a little bit harder than if I hadn't activated them. And every time you turn on or turn off one of these options, it's going to change the level of difficulty for this raid. So right now we're sitting at exactly 300. That puts us into the challenge tier and gives us a decent shot at a purple loot drop at the tail end of it. So we're going to cross our fingers and hope we get something good here after we beat all the bosses. So we've got our party set up, we've got our raid set at 300, and because one of the invocations I used restricts me from eating actual fish or other food during the raid, I'm just going to eat this anglerfish real quick in order to take my health from 99 up to a little bit higher, because I'm going to eat that fish before we enter the raid. So now we're going to be good to go here. We're going to dive in and choose the first path we want to go down, knowing that there's 4 different paths we have to beat before we get to the true final boss at the end of this raid. So the first one, I'm going to go down here. If you look around the room, you'll see that each door has a different symbol on there. That symbol represents the boss that's actually inside at the end of this path. And I'm going to try to tackle the boss that I think is one of the more difficult here, down the path of Het. And you'll see why once we get past the first minigame, and then get to the boss itself. Hopefully we'll be able to take him down without too much trouble there. So anyway, right now I'm just going to grab my pickaxe that I had stored inside this statue. It allows you to keep an item there, which is going to help out with this minigame. And we're just going to pick up 2 or 3 different mirrors that are on the floor here. And we have to position those a certain way in order to bounce the light ray from over on this side, to bounce around the room and to hit the statue in the center, pretty much in order to activate it. So here we go, I'm going to set my mirror down there, then I'll grab the next one. I'm going to set the second one down on this red tile. I do like to use a set of RuneLite plugins for this because it helps you figure out your foot positioning and all the other stuff in the raid. That's why you'll see there's some red tiles that are highlighted, amongst other things. So that way you don't really have to remember all of it yourself. You can just kind of use the guides from the RuneLite plugin. Hopefully we can destroy this statue with one shot here. Nope, not quite. I was a little bit slow getting to that one. Sometimes I can one-hit that, because I do have level 99 mining. It certainly comes in handy during times like this. So no big deal, we're just going to grab a few more of the mirrors, and then we'll get everything set up again to redirect the light ray. And then we should be done with the first minigame. Just going to put this here. We'll rotate it around so the light bounces the right way. Then I'm going to grab this one. Now as soon as that light ray shoots again, I'm going to push this forward, so the next time they throw the light, it should go right around and hit the statue. There we go. Not too bad. We're going to put our pickaxe back, so that way when we want to do our next raid, it's going to be right there waiting for us again. And now we're going to go into the next room, which is where the actual boss of this path can be fought. And I'm going to put on my mage gear for that, because we're going to try to run around the fight arena here without letting him get us, so that way we can do some damage before we even really have to worry about prayer switching and all that stuff. So we're just going to keep using our magic staff here. Hopefully we get lucky with some hits so we can bring his damage down. And then we'll figure out the rest of the fight specifics here. What you will notice is above the boss right now, he's got a sword icon, which means he's in melee mode. So right now the reason why he's following me around is he's in melee mode and he wants to hit me with that staff he's got. So as long as he doesn't catch me, he can't do any damage. But eventually the game is going to make me fight him in more of like a hand-to-hand combat type spot, and you'll see that his icon above his head switches every time that his attack style switches. So pretty much every time he switches, we have to switch. That pattern in the center, usually when you're on this level of difficulty, there's going to be 4 different options that pattern follows. You just have to remember what order each of the 4 icons was triggered in, and that way you can avoid taking any damage from it. I took a few hits there just because I actually forgot to activate my prayer. Not the biggest deal in the world, but a good example here as to why you've got to stay vigilant. And now here I'm going to bring out my Warhammer and try to hit him with my special attack to see if we can lower his defense even more. We didn't get a hit there, but we'll just try again once our stats restore. We'll keep doing that throughout the raid. Now every time these green or teal soldiers get activated, we've got to make sure we take out one of those, because if we don't, there's going to be an explosion that will do a lot of damage to us. So we want to make sure we're knocking those guys out as quickly as possible, and then we'll keep going around the rotation each time that fight sequence opens up. Okay, now we'll go back to fighting the boss. Just gonna heal a little bit since I took those hits earlier. Now might be a good time to make sure I'm at full health again. And now he's switched to melee. I'm gonna go back to the mage gear that I was using in the beginning, because that's gonna be most effective against that attack style. I'm gonna run down here. Try to take out another one of these teal soldiers. Got a little bit lucky there. I was late to attack that soldier, but we were still able to take out his health before the yellow bar expired. Had we not done that quick enough, that's where the explosion would have come in, and I would have lost probably 40 or 50 health. So, all good news there at the tail end of it. Right now he's attacking with mage, so we're going to use our melee attack. Now another soldier opened up, so we'll go over here, knock out number 3. There are other strategies you can use here, like there's a butterfly strategy that some people use in order to make the boss follow you around some more without actually giving him a chance to hit you. I've not mastered that though, so I'm just kind of taking the standard approach to this boss fight. And hopefully it'll show you some tricks that you can use when you're fighting him. I am pretty new to streaming, by the way, so anyone out there that's watching, if you wouldn't mind dropping me a follow or subscribe, certainly appreciate all the support there as we build up this page and keep running. We've got just one more soldier who should activate in a second here. There we go. So now we're going to take out number 4 here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I mentioned a yellow bar earlier, which you can see at the top of my screen. That's the bar that we're racing against to take out this guard. If that yellow bar fills all the way up, that's when the explosion happens. So luckily we were able to get that one done without an issue. So now this is kind of the final part of this boss fight, at least for fighting the main soldier here. You see he's got 123 health left. And as soon as we bring that all the way down, there's going to be one final whirlpool phase or a cloud phase. I don't know what they are exactly, but these little white things will be moving around the screen trying to hit us, and we just have to dodge them while we complete the final phase. But the worst of this is pretty much over right now. He's got 32 health left. Okay, now those little white things will come out. I guess they're like tornadoes, honestly. Either way, we just try to dodge them. Just don't get hit by them is the key. There's nothing worse than going through this 10-minute fight and taking out all the or not the bosses, but the actual fighters, just to get killed by the tornadoes. Trust me, I've done it. Okay, we're almost done. It's got 57 health. Whoops, we took a hit there, but 1 is not the worst thing in the world. You just don't want to get hit by several in succession. I'm trying not to waste my health, that's why I'm not really bothering to heal. I feel pretty confident that we'll be able to complete this. And there we go. So now if we go back to the center and look around the room, remember there were 4 different paths we could choose from, and it's up to us where we wanted to start. You'll see that the path of Het that we just completed is now grayed out here, so you can't go down it anymore. Now we've got to pick from one of the remaining 3 paths to see where we go next. And one of the other bosses that I think is challenging, at least the minigame before him is in the monkey room here. So we're going to go over to the east side and take that monkey path. Okay, I'm just going to throw on some mage gear here. There's different types of monkeys that are going to come at us from all the different entranceways. So we're just going to keep switching between our gear and our prayer in order to deal with whatever phase is coming at us. I do zoom out a little bit for this one. Hopefully you can still see okay. But it's a little bit tricky to see all the different monkeys coming at you from the different portals. So that's why I wanted to try to get a broad view of the layout. Let's see here. Try not to step on the green either. That's like a poison trail, which will just be annoying to deal with, so I'd rather not. So we're just going to try to dance around that and deal with the other monkeys as they're coming out. You'll see these brown monkeys coming at us. They actually explode once they get close to you. So you kind of want to let them walk up to you, but then immediately get away from them, or else they'll give you, or you'll take a bunch of damage from them as well. Doing pretty good so far. Trying to figure out how to get to certain monkeys without stepping on that green. I'm going to try to destroy some of the monkeys that are dropping that in the first place. And you'll see I keep running over to this roof support thing as well. You have to build that back up with a hammer. It's like part of your construction skill every couple of seconds whenever it prompts you to. Or else there's going to be some rubble that falls from the ceiling. And of course that also does some damage to you. So that red monkey icon popped up again, so now we'll go repair the pillar, and then we just get back to the fight again. Okay, so that was the mini game, and again, that's really, I feel, one of the hardest parts of this boss battle, is just getting through the monkeys in the beginning. So let's see how we do against the big one. And you will see here in the center, once we get onto the actual fight arena, there's a black hole in the bottom. They refer to it as the gap, and you'll see one of the invocations in the beginning is to mine the gap, because you definitely don't want to get hit down into that area, or else it's going to end the fight immediately. So anyway, we'll try to stay on the sides of this as we're fighting the bigger monkey, so that way we can just avoid the danger there. We're going to use Protect from Melee here, and I'm going to try to lower his defense with my Warhammer. We just got a good hit there. So now we should be able to do some quick damage to him, now that he's been weakened a bit. Whenever he throws these boulders at us, we've got to get next to one of the large rocks in the middle, and that's going to shield us a little bit from the aerial attack that he was using. I think it's around 600 or 615 is when phase 1 is over, and that's when we really have to make sure to mine the gap so we don't get pushed into that black hole, or that black crevice at the bottom. Just gonna go over here. Here we go. So we'll get to the side. You'll see I got thrown to the bottom. but luckily was able to avoid the hole since I got all the way to the left. Now we just have to shoot the dark ball that's rolling down out of the 5 that he's throwing at us. You have to hit the one that's dark and then run to that spot in order to keep progressing through here. Okay, so now we're in phase 2. We're gonna warhammer him again. We got another good hit there. And now we just keep attacking him with our sword. Watch those boulders as they fall from the sky. Obviously you don't want to get hit by those either. You can kind of see where they're coming though. There will be a shadow on the tile on the ground where the boulders are going to fall. So just don't stand in that same spot. You should be okay. Okay, now we're going to get to the side. He's going to roll all the boulders at us again. So just keep shooting the blue ones and then you can walk through that hole you've created. Okay. And now we are in the final phase of this one. So really we just have to not die. It's as easy as that. And we'll be good. But he can't throw you into the black hole anymore, so for the rest of the fight here for phase 3, you can pretty much stand wherever you want and just dodge his regular attacks along the way. See, he's got 58 health here. He's just about done. Okay, there we go. We beat boss number 2. Not too bad. Now the cool thing about once you beat the first 2 paths, whichever 2 you choose doesn't really matter, but this helpful spirit comes out in the center lobby. And he's actually going to give us some supplies to complete the rest of the raid. And there's always going to be 3 different options here. There's either life, chaos, or power. And depending on what you think you need for the rest of the raid, you can just choose whichever one looks best. Right now I'm just going to grab the life one because I like that this white ambrosia potion is here. That's like a cure-all potion that we can use at the end to restore your health and your stats. So that's going to be really handy for the final boss fight. So we'll just get these ready in our inventory. And I actually think the beetle boss over here on the right, the Path of Scaberis, is one of the easiest. So I'm going to knock out the crocodile path first in order to knock out the 3rd one out of the 5 that we're fighting here. We're just going to grab this water container. We've got to do this little mini game where you have to fill up the water and then go plant a palm tree in the center. I misjudged my timing there and took some hits, but that's okay. We'll drop the water off and then hopefully we'll just have to do that one more time in order to help the palm tree get to full growth, which lets us into the boss fight. Again, for anybody who's new to the channel, I myself am new, so thank you for being here. Certainly if you want to drop me a follow or subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Thank you so much. We'll keep putting out some more RuneScape content here. I've been playing this game for a long time. If you guys have certain bosses you want to see me fight or any other content in the game, I'll be happy to build that into the schedule here. I'm just going to get my stats to full health here, and then we're going to go try to hit the croc with our Warhammer, one of my favorite pastimes, and we'll see if we get lucky again. No hit that time. We'll give it another shot here. Not that time either. So now we're just going to switch to our range gear, and we'll just go through the fight the same way we would have anyway. It might just take a little bit longer to beat him, since his defense is high. You'll see here he's switching his attack style, or his attack type, I should say. He goes between a ranged attack, where he's throwing these boulders, to a magic attack, where he's throwing like a magic ball. So every time his attack changes, you'll see that I switch the prayer that I'm using in order to protect myself from that same attack. This part's really not that bad, but he's got a few other special attacks along the way, which add a little bit of risk to the game, so it's really those things that I'll be looking out for and being extra careful with. I'm also going to do a little bit of prayer flicking, they call it here, where I turn my prayer on and off real quick. And the reason why is I've been trying to practice for the Inferno to get an Inferno cape, and a lot of prayer switching is required there. So I haven't quite cracked the code, I haven't been able to beat that yet, but when I'm fighting these other bosses I try to get a little bit of practice in. Now here's one of the special attacks. We're just trying to stay out of the way of that whirlpool line. If we don't, it's going to push us eventually right off the map and into the water, so we just don't want to get caught in that position. And now we survived that one. He'll do a different special attack the next time, and then he's going to cycle through both of those special attacks a second time before the fight is over. So I'm just going to keep doing my thing here. I just keep switching my prayer style. Protect against range. Another range one will protect against range again. Same thing. So you'll kind of see the rhythm as we go. It's only now, if he switches to that red magic attack, that's when I'm going to use a different prayer on my side. I switched to prayer real quick right there because these little red balls came out. Sometimes he'll use a special mage attack to suck some of the health off of you if you don't have protect from magic there. So I just wanted to be cautious and try that out real quick in case it was needed. I'm actually going to switch my gear real quick. I'm going to see if we can get one of our Warhammer hits in. Since it's been a little bit tricky trying to bring his health down, we're going to try to weaken him a little. Unfortunately though, we just missed with both of those, so we'll just keep working through the grind. There's another special attack. Now I'm going to have to try to take this, it's a jug I guess. We're going to push that into one of the rocks that fell in order to blow up the jug and clear out some of the acid pools. If we don't do that, we won't be able to hide behind the rock, and he's going to pretty much wipe out our health here. We would have just taken 150 damage, which would have killed us pretty much immediately. So that's why it's important that you break the jug in the right spot. Just gonna refill some of my stats here. Why not? Better safe than sorry. I'm also going to switch my gear again. I'm going to try to hit him with the Warhammer. Eventually we'll end up getting lucky here. Maybe. Not that time. A lot of people don't really like the Warhammer because it's not the most accurate weapon out there. Some people like to use, like, I believe it's a Sarah sword. It has a similar effect if you're able to hit the boss with it. But for some reason I just love using the Warhammer, so it's kind of like my go-to. We're just dodging the whirlpools again. And that'll be the last time that we see that. I say whirlpools, I guess it's a tidal wave, but whatever that water attack is, we just want to stay away from it. He's at about half of his health right now. Hey, Bag Theory, thanks so much for joining. Appreciate you being here. This is my first video stream, so it means a lot to have you here. Thanks so much. Hopefully, if you like the content, you can drop me a follow here, or, after the game, subscribe. I'm gonna keep putting out different content on my page, so hopefully we'll build up a bit of a fan base, so we'll keep it growing there. Switch my gear again here. Let's see if we get lucky. Another miss. We are not doing well with the Warhammer here. I still love it though. It's okay. We're friends. He's got just one special attack left. It's going to be that acid pool attack. Here it comes, so let's see if we can knock this one out. Let's see, over here. Perfect. Now we'll stand behind that rock I just cleared out. Sorry you couldn't see him that well. We got a little bit far back there based on how the map cleared out. Now we'll get back closer. What you can do too is use your rigor attack here in order to make your range attack even stronger. Normally if you're able to get a Warhammer hit, it's not really necessary. But I guess I'll do it for now since it's getting a little bit drawn out here with the fight, so we'll try to speed it up a little. Remember, we've got to keep switching between our prayer attacks here, but whenever he uses range, we'll pray against range. When he's using that red ball, we'll protect against magic. And that's just what we'll do until the end of the fight. Gotta run away from those blobs without letting them hit us, or else they're gonna leech some of our health from us. They're really not too bad to get away from, though. Okay, he's under 100 health, so this one's just about over. He's at 48, you can see that up in the top here, 21, and it's over. Awesome. So 3 paths down. We'll just take a look around the room though. You guys remember we took out the Path of Het, we just took down the crocodile, the monkey room is over. So right now we've got the Path of Scabarus, which is the final demi-boss. before we get to the big guy. So we've got pretty much everything we need for it. We really shouldn't go through too many supplies or anything like that. But I'll show you some tricks once we get into the boss fight. So hopefully it'll help you out with your own raids there. Again, this is where the RuneLite plugin comes in real helpful. Some of these little quiz type things you would have to figure out on your own manually. It's kind of tedious when you do that, so having the plugin is really helpful so you can work through the raid efficiently and not really spend your time doing like non-combat things. This is a match game right here. It does help if you're running a raid maybe as a duo, so you've got a partner with you, where one of you can stand on each side of the board here to match up the different tiles. When you're running solo, you pretty much just have to run back and forth between the two a bunch of times. So eventually we'll be done. It just takes a minute to work through it. Alright, so now we've unlocked the bug boss. You guys probably could have guessed it. I'm going to use my Warhammer to start off here. We'll try to lower its defense like we did all the other bosses so far. And what's special about this boss though is it kind of throws a line of dung at you as its special attack. So wherever you're standing, that's where the line is going to form. And if you don't position yourself the right way, you're going to cut yourself off from being able to move throughout the rest of the map, which eventually just gets you killed. So you'll see that I'm going to stand a certain way and try to box in some of the other bad guys as we fight, and it's all going to be helpful towards making this as clean of a run as possible. So, here we go. And we finally hit him with our Warhammer, so that's great news compared to all the other ones pretty much. Here comes the dung line. I'm going to stand on the corner here. And you'll see he just threw me into the corner and now created this line which I can't run through. So whenever he does that again, I just have to be mindful that I don't want to get myself squeezed into too tight of an area. Or like I said, eventually it's just going to lead to your death here in the raid. For these dung bombs here, whenever they get laid on the ground, I like to start over on the side, because after 2 attack cycles when they blow up, you're always going to end up in the clear. So it kind of just creates those dung bombs like a non-issue for you whenever you start off on one of those corner spaces. Okay, here comes another dung attack, and now I'm going to run to the right. So what you'll see is I just created a small area where the whole thing is blocked off by dung. And the reason why is there's going to be a little melee bug that gets spawned in just a second, and he's going to be trapped in that area. So the fact that he can't get to me is going to avoid him from damaging my health. So it kind of just works out in the grander scheme of things to make this fight as clean as we can. Once I kill this range bug here, then I'm going to throw on my magic gear, and that's when we're going to kill the melee in the center. Who's really just stuck there anyway, but it's better to get rid of him, so we can focus just on the boss, and that's that. Now the boss reactivated there, so you can see he's throwing those big fire bombs, or whatever you want to call it, at me. So I'm going to continue to dodge those as I'm fighting the melee. So just something to be mindful of. It's you kind of have to use your peripheral vision to see when one of those bomb attacks is coming down. Okay, and now that he's out of the picture, we're going to go back to the main boss. We got another Warhammer spec there. You see I used my trick again with those dung bombs, so that way I didn't get hit by any. Now I'm going to run down here, so when he uses his dung attack, he's going to create a line on top of the other line, and I didn't lose any arena space because of it. So that's a good strategy when you're playing too. Just kind of keep going back to whatever line already exists there, so that way it minimizes the number of tiles that you lose overall. And you'll see that a few more times throughout the raid, so just kind of check it out as I'm working through it. It'll start to make sense. Here's another one. Now before I run to the other side of the arena, I'm going to let him do that dung attack one more time. Because essentially there's going to be a magic spawn that comes up in just a second. I don't have enough time to run over to the other side just yet. So I'm going to let him do his dung attack, and now I'm going to take off and get ready for the next phase here. Down in the bottom left is where that major is going to spawn. Here he is, so now we're in perfect position to start taking him out. He is going to teleport on us, so we'll have to chase him down a little. But at least right now we did a lot of damage to him as soon as he popped. Just teleported again, so we'll chase him down a final time. And now we'll go over to the ranger here. It took a little bit longer to kill that major than it usually does. I just didn't get any solid hits on him. But it's okay, we just have to pretty much take everything we learned so far throughout the raid and keep using those same mechanics. So now that ranger's done, we'll put on our mage gear. And now we're going to take out the melee, who's still trapped in the center, just like he was in the first phase. It was a beautiful plan. Okay. So there's not going to be any more of those major or range bugs that spawn. It's pretty much just us. We're going to try to take out the big one for the rest of this fight. And he'll continue to use these dung attacks, so we'll just keep following the same strategy where we get as close to the brown as possible each time he does it. And we'll keep working our way through it. I probably should have mentioned this 10 minutes ago, but you'll see there's these green scarabs, these little things that are flying all around the map. They're the reason why I'm using this protect from range prayer, because really every time they hit you it might do 1 or 2 damage, which isn't bad if it only happened once, but since they do this throughout the entire fight, it'd be like death by 1,000 paper cuts if you didn't actually use the prayer spell. So that's why we want to make sure that we're covering ourselves there and not taking some unnecessary damage. Okay. And now once he gets to this light green bar at the top, that shows that you're in the 4th and final phase of his health. So now we just have to finish him off and this fight is over. And this is kind of a chill part of the fight, so I'm just going to say it again, guys. You know, we're just getting this channel up, so if you wouldn't mind dropping me a follow or subscribe, you know, everything you guys do is appreciated, so thank you. He's got 30 health left, 7, and that one is over. So there we are. We've now beaten all 4 paths, all 4 of the demi-bosses at the end of the path, including the mini-games, so that's a good chunk of what you need to know about Tombs of Amascut. The cool thing though is that same helpful spirit that came out halfway through, they're back again and they're going to give us some more supplies. And what I'm specifically looking for this time is a pack of smelling salts. It almost gives you like super strength and a few other bonus things as you use it, and that's going to be really helpful for the final boss fight. So we're going to, and actually there's some things I won't really need now, so I'll get those out of my inventory. That way we'll just have in there the stuff that's actually going to help in the final fight. I deposited some of those brews that I had in there because they're ones that I actually bought from the exchange before the fight, whereas everything that came from the helpful spirit was absolutely free. So instead of me losing money by drinking all the potions I paid for, I'm going to fill up my inventory with the free ones, just because why not, you know? You're just going to lose them at the end of the raid anyway, so might as well just use them up. Okay, so now we're ready. I actually got a purple loot drop yesterday when I was doing a raid, so hopefully we have similar luck here. That would be an awesome first video stream for me. We're going to start off with my favorite Warhammer. We're going to sniff some of those smelling salts to boost up our strength and all that. And then we're going to tell the spirit that we're ready to go here. Nice. And our attack landed, so that's good. Now you'll see as I'm trying to destroy this obelisk, there's going to be monsters on the left and right side. They're going to start to shoot some attacks at us. So I've got to make sure that my health is in a good spot there, or else I'm going to get tanked before the real fight even starts. Okay. And once we destroy the obelisk, that's when the actual boss comes out, and it's going to get a lot more interesting from there. As I get hit by that stuff, I'm just healing myself. I've got all those free potions, so again, why not? And that way we'll be at close to full health for when we start off the final fight. So here comes the boss. There's going to be a few phases to this as well, but pretty much we're going to hang out in this corner for as long as this soldier is attacking us, and we're just going to switch our prayers and our attack style for whatever we need to do. I'm going to try to draw him a little bit closer so you guys can see him a little bit better. It's a little bit tricky, there's a lot to try to fit in one screen. But hopefully you guys will get the gist of it here. And again, even though I'm switching my prayer to protect myself the best I can, we are taking some damage here. There's just nothing you can do about it. So you'll see that I'm continuously re-healing myself and filling my prayer as we go. We should have plenty to complete the fight though. And now you'll see he's going to drop to one knee here. When he does that, we're going to put on our melee gear, and we're going to go attack him. This is pretty much his heart that's fallen out. Oops. I've got the wrong weapon out, that's my bad. Let me switch to that real quick. There is a different potion I'm going to try to get out of my sack here in a second. That's going to allow me to use my special attack without using so much energy doing it, so that'll be helpful to beat this guy quicker. He's going to drop to one knee. So now we're going to get our stuff back out, our melee gear. We'll just keep doing some damage to him. I messed up my timing a little bit on this. We may have to go into 4 phases while we cycle through it with this guy. Usually I can do it in 3, but I just didn't get as many hits in as I do sometimes, so it's all good. You can see these lightning attacks are going off while we're fighting him. It's just some of the stuff that you gotta keep the corner of your eyes out open for. There's certain spots on the map you can stand to avoid damage, so that's what I've been trying to run to. Okay. Now we're going to put on our melee gear again. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, I forgot to put my piety prayer on. Had I done that... Oh, we got him anyway. But anyway, I should have had piety on the whole time to do even more damage each hit. So that's just a lesson learned for next time. Now this is the final form of the boss, so you know, you can see his health at the top. There's going to be different attacks that he does, and then also from the side, some of his demi-bosses are going to use range and magic attacks against me. So it's going to get a little bit trickier every minute, but we'll just keep working through it. You can see I still have my smelling salts are active on the left, so even though I'm drinking those yellow potions, it's not depleting my stats at all. So that's kind of like the secondary bonus of having those smelling salts. So thanks to the helpful spirit there for looking out for us. He's a good guy. I'm gonna pull out my warhammer here. We'll try to get a spec in. And we nailed it. So now this guy's defense is a little bit lower. Now with these skulls, we just have to hit all of them as quickly as we can, or else the whole map is gonna pretty much implode on us, so just try to be quick with that. You can kind of tap one and move on to the next. Try to get it done within like 5 seconds or so. There's 4 different skull phases altogether. Here's the second one. So again, I'm just going to hit all of these. And now you'll see here's where the demi-boss on the side is going to start to attack me, as is the main boss. So I've kind of got to keep my eyes on both of them. And now I have to keep switching my protection prayer as well, based on whatever attack is coming at me. Now these boulders are also dropping from the ceiling. They're relatively harmless though, as long as you're following the pattern of the main boss, the warden. You can pretty much just naturally avoid the boulders, so it just makes it look a little bit crazier, but it doesn't really make the fight any more difficult, at least in my opinion. We just used our special attack again, so we reload his defense. Okay, here's the final skull phase. Oops, missed one. Try not to miss them. Okay, that was a little close, guys, but luckily I was able to knock them all out. Now, once the warden gets down to about 100 health, he's going to go into this enrage phase. The tiles are going to fall apart beneath me, and all the attacks are going to be sped up, so you just really want to make sure your prayer is high, your health is high, and everything that comes along with it. Because if you get hit by too many things in a short time frame here, it could be the end of the raid for you, like immediately. But this is also the final phase, so as long as we can stay calm here and work our way through it, this is pretty much the end. If I get hit a couple times, you'll see me use that white potion. That's that ambrosia I told you about earlier. That's the best thing you can do here to avoid losing time, as all this other stuff is going on. It's pretty much like pulling the safety button there in order to restabilize yourself. I'm just going to use it now just because we're getting pretty close to the end. I feel better knowing that all my stats are as high as they can be. You'll see at the top the warden has 92 health right now. 73. I just keep dancing, trying to avoid any tile that has a shadow mark on it. I just keep moving around to avoid that. Alright, he's got 7 health. Boom. There we go. I'd say now is going to be another good time to ask for a follow, a like, anything you want to give me here will be much appreciated. We just completed our raid. Okay, no purple this time. We'll see what's in the chest though. Let's see what kind of loot we got here. Okay, so about 300k. It took us 55 minutes to work through that. You could probably do it quicker with my gear setup. I think the quickest I've done it is about 42, 45 minutes, something like that. But either way, this is a good chunk of money. It was fun raiding with you guys, and